All right, welcome to our 17th chat on our 30-day raw vegan journey. This is Your Healthier Way. I'm Kurt, and today we're going to be talking with Lisa about soy. Let's check in first to see how our day went.
Well, let's see, if you tuned in this weekend, you heard me say that instead of having my 30% of cooked foods throughout the week randomly, whenever I felt like giving into an urge, I was going to just limit it to the weekends. So doing that made it easier today to not have to think about food, or if I was driving somewhere to think about where am I going to go, what am I going to eat. So my meals today consisted of smoothies and fruit, and in the smoothies I had put some hemp seeds also, and some spinach and celery, so that I got my vegetables and amino acids in there too. Now, how are you doing with the nut issue? Because you were having some digestive issues, we think, because of the
Probably,
nuts.
yes. I still had a little bit of gas and bloating today. Maybe some residual from the weekend, probably something to do with the nuts that I had yesterday afternoon. I started my day as usual with a smoothie. I had a mid-morning snack of 2 oranges, another smoothie, and a couple apples for lunch, and came home, did some exercise, and then had a big salad for dinner. I added walnuts to my big salad, so I'll probably be feeling a little bit more gassiness and bloating tomorrow, but I'm okay with that.
But it could have been too, because of the cilantro nuts you had yesterday had cilantro and some other
And they were sprouted, and the walnuts were not. So
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
yeah, it will be,
because they were sprouted, but they also had things on them. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
You got to do it all and figure out what works for you, really.
right, definitely. Now, yesterday we mentioned that soybeans are the second largest crop in the United States when we were talking about grains. And it used to be, and in some cases it still is, that soy products are thought of, or were thought of, as a healthy option, especially for people who don't eat meat. But now that we know a little bit about agribusiness lobbies, and we talked about regulatory capture in our session yesterday as well, soybeans have a pretty big part in agribusiness as well as grains. So I'm not necessarily sure I'm on board with all the health benefits that we're being told that they have. So are we just being fed some baloney about soybeans?
He's being funny. Well, let's look at some facts about soybeans. First of all, if you tune in over the weekend, you learned about enzyme inhibitors. And just like beans and grains have enzyme inhibitors, so do raw soybeans, which means that it slows down the digestive process and it makes it a lot more difficult to digest them. And they're also acid-forming, allergy-causing. A lot of them are genetically modified, and they block mineral absorption. And they also become a neurotoxin. They're very high in aluminum, which is toxic to the brain and nerves.
Okay. Now, what if they're cooked or processed, though?
Well, that also has its downside. When they're cooked or processed, they're done so at such a high temperature, but it's to release the enzyme inhibitors. But at the same time, once they're cooked, it also destroys a lot of the nutrients. So, and then processed soybeans comprise most of the oils and the margarines that we consume in the U.S. And a lot of the soy that we consume is in the form of soybean oil or soybean protein. You know, on your shelf you might have like soy milk or protein powders made from soy, and a lot of the vegetarian products that we have, say in our freezer or our refrigerators, have some form of soy in them. It may not even say soy, it may say soy protein or soy protein isolate, and sometimes, or derivative, soy derivative. So sometimes it's said in ways that trick us, for us to not realize that it comes from soybean.
Right, and there's a lot of really good frozen soy-based vegetarian products out there that we
taste.
That
we've had them.
Used to buy. Yeah, by good I mean they taste really well.
Yeah.
So a lot of what we consume then comes in the form of soybean oil or soy proteins. How do we come by soybean oil or soy proteins from a soybean?
Well, there's 3 major processes. There's cooking, pressing, and hydrogenating. So cooking and pressing destroys the nutrients and makes them more acidic and promotes rancidification. And it also promotes the formation of free radicals, which are carcinogenic compounds. Soy basically becomes a toxin once it's in your body.
Okay. So can you tell us what are the sorts of foods that we should look out for then?
Well, think about your own refrigerator and pantry shelf.
All right.
See if any of this comes to mind, and check the ingredients if you're curious. First of all, starting with breakfast, we have hot cereals and we have breakfast bars. And a lot of times the food producers will add soy in to supposedly boost the protein, as if it's something we could really digest and assimilate really well anyway. It's added to pasta to supposedly, again, improve the nutritional value. You find it in some liquid toppings, non-dairy frozen desserts, instant beverages and meal replacements, and then in some dairy products like imitation milk, imitation cheese, coffee whiteners and creamers, and it's also found in some yogurt and some sour cream.
Okay. So if it's not good for us, how do you think it's become such a staple in the food production chain?
Basically, it's convenient for everybody involved. The soy extends the shelf life of a product, it reduces the breakage and the crumbling. When you look at bread, it whitens bread. So think about the appeal that that has in terms of texture and flavor and appearance. We look at the white bread that, like, I grew up with. You may, well, your family ate a lot of healthier things and they grew their own, but like I grew up with white bread, and that certainly was more appealing to me than whole wheat bread for those reasons. And soy, so it improves the moisture. It helps to create like a cake-like richness, and it just improves the way that it feels in the mouth. So it plays a lot on our perception. And then in terms of the animal proteins, when they use soy in that, like meat and fish and poultry, it produces a larger yield, and again, it holds things together. It's used as a binder. And it just makes the food more appealing and appetizing. It holds the juiciness in, the moisture. So basically it tastes better, it feels better in the mouth, and it looks better to our eyes.
Okay. So it's
tricky.
It's a pretty interesting little trick then.
Definitely.
To make things taste better or seem like they taste better with soy.
Gotta sell.
So now keep in mind that soy is also becoming widely used with green building products.
Yes.
And so far anyway, it's proven to be very beneficial and ecologically responsible for construction technologies anyways. It's competitive with petroleum-based foams, insulations, plastics, and it creates, we think, a less toxic environment. And in fact, when we recarpeted our home a while back, we chose a healthier option by going with a soy-based carpet padding. So soybeans definitely have their place. It's just that maybe they're not the healthiest thing to eat.
It's not in our bodies, right?
Right. So that's it for today. And tomorrow we're going to take a closer look at micronutrients and macronutrients.
And that'll include protein, because that's the big question from people who don't understand raw food consumption, is where are you getting your protein from? So we'll dispel some of the myths and analyze that a little bit.
Great. Be sure to join us on our next video. This is Your Health, Your Way.
Bye-bye.
Piss fritters.